Hello there and welcome. You're watching the latest video interview here from SmartCitiesWorld, the leading platform for sharing ideas to solve urban challenges. Today, we're joined by two very special guests, founder and CEO of Venturous Group, Benson Tam, and the East Asia Regional Chair for Arup, Michael Kwok. Welcome along both. It is a pleasure to have the chance to catch up with you both here.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you. We're obviously here to talk about cities, that goes without saying, but more specifically than that, we want to get some detail around how cities are innovating, how you are supporting that in your work, but also what role partnerships and collaboration have to play in driving some of this forwards as well. We've obviously, touched on just their partnerships, and that's where we'll start, because collaboration is such an important part of cities' developments to become smarter and more sustainable today. So I'd like to understand really what role both of you are playing together and in your individual organizations as well to enable that to move forwards. Benson, I'll come to you first.
Thank you, Luke. Well, first of all, smart cities are very, very complex, massive projects. So consortiums, partnerships, alliances are crucial. And in our case, we're a group company. So we have a number of companies underneath us. So the first partnership is amongst the various companies. Secondly, we have external strategic partners like Arup that we also work with. But thirdly, more importantly, is that in China, we actually directly partner with cities themselves. So we work with the mayor's office. We also work with usually the new town offices, but also the tech parks. So you find that it's, we call ourselves the conductor. And there's so many different areas in the orchestra to make the whole thing work. So yeah, it's a very complex coordinational role. Yeah.
It certainly is. And Michael, from your perspective?
Yes, I'll probably start to describe who we are, Arup. Actually, Arup is a global company with 18,000 people around the world. We are engineers, planners, designers, technical specialists, and consultants. So if you go around the world, in many of these major cities, you will see all these very prominent buildings or infrastructure. And very often you find that Arup is the creative force at the heart, behind many of these very prominent work in the built environment. So in a way, we are very much the one who are creating it and actually delivering those projects. So we do planning, we do design, we do implementation project, and as I said, you will see around the world. But to deliver those, we cannot just do it on our own. We have to deliver this project by working closely with others, such as investor, owners, developer, architects, government agency, contractor, operator, and many, many other professionals. So it is important for us to really find the right partner to deliver project in countries and cities. So the city is very much how we work because we have our team, our people on the ground in the cities, but we also work with, as I said, many other stakeholders. I'm an engineer myself by profession. I call ourselves problem solver, but now I'm increasingly seeing ourselves as a creator of possibilities, particularly by working with our partners, because I think it's really important for us to work with like-minded people, and in particular, Venturous, who is very much the investor of Citytech, and I think that's absolutely important that we understand how the financing and the business model work, and although we are able to provide our multidisciplinary expertise and global reach, and also the cross-sector experience. So we find that we are, together with Venture, become a very good partner in the delivery of smart cities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really brilliant example to be able to kind of bring to the fore in this forum. It is absolutely critical to be able to partner and know that you can have a reliable partner to deliver on some of these projects, and help cities in that way then to address their challenges. And that brings me on to the next thing I wanted to ask about, actually, is the nature of your own partnership, the work that you've done together. What does that tell you about the potential of collaboration and partnership to be able to scale smart city projects, and as a part of that, be able to scale them up and down so that solutions are right-sized for all cities, not just the big tier 1 cities around the world?
Maybe I'll start first, and Benson can add to it. Of course, I mean, sustainable development is in a way everything what we do with Arup. We are very much focused on delivering sustainable projects, and I think smart city is something that really we want to strive to improve the built environment on all aspects of sustainability, including social, economics, as well as environmental aspect of cities that we work with. So if we talk about smart city, it's not a new concept, but it's been evolving and very much targeting for how people can live in a better world. And I think in order to be successful implementing sustainable and smart city, we need to consider a number of factors. Particularly, as you mentioned, is the context is very important. To be able to look at the sort of a unique context of the city we are talking about. I mean, for example, it's urban densities, and what kind of challenges and opportunity that we are facing with the urban systems. The other is about people center. I mean, the cultural matters a lot, as well as smart tech deployment is concerned, because there are places where the people tends to be more open on sharing data in exchange of better convenience and efficiency, but there may be other places where people are not as open in terms of using smart tools, etc. So we need to be looking at more of people center. The others is policy. I think the policy actually will shape how smart city can be implemented, because there will be issue related to how the city is operated, how the economy model is going to work. The policy, how, for example, how they look at things like climate change or carbon neutrality, that will have a major sort of implication in how smart city, in terms of the speed, how it may be deployed, and how it can be financed. So I think these 3 factors is probably what we need to consider when we implement smart city in various locations. So the context, the people center, and the policy, all these 3 are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really resonates with me, certainly, but I think it resonates with our audience at SmartCitiesWorld as well. Education and policy are super important factors in this. Being able to, ensure city partners that this is going to work, that they can rely on you, but also being able to influence policy decision making as part of that. It's really the way forward in terms of collaborative working, and it's the way that really demonstrates how important partnerships are. So Benson, I'll come to you next on this.
Yeah, let me give you 3 examples: large, medium, small, and they face different challenges. So we have worked with the largest tech park in China. This is called Zhangjiang. It is in the eastern part of Shanghai called Pudong. And this is a massive scale project. You're talking about hundreds of buildings in an area that is more than 10 square kilometers. So it's a big area. And the particular party that we work with is the owner and manager of the Zhangjiang Tech Park, which is a state-owned enterprise. And imagine them as almost like a city district management company. So this is, in that particular case, we formed a joint venture company specifically for them because it's so big. And we start from the start, meaning from the original specification, key challenges they're looking for. In this case, the biggest thing they're looking for is saving energy. And so we have to start from scratch, start the whole design process, and start to implement it across all of the buildings. And so you can imagine this like working with a city government. The medium-sized project is basically with one of the leading group companies that is the biggest manufacturer of backpacks. You know Nike because they do shoes, but you actually don't know that almost all of the backpacks that you buy, whatever brand, chances are there's more than a 2/3 chance it came from this particular group. And they have a piece of land just outside of Guangzhou, and they want to build a new manufacturing plant there, but also to build a smart manufacturing base for others to come as well. So this is, you're talking about 5 buildings in an area that is, I guess, almost like a mixed-use complex, right next to 2 of the top universities in Guangzhou. And again, this one, we are starting from scratch to define what is smart manufacturing, how do we deliver all the other so-called smart city tech within it, and also lobby the city government to say that we get the right policies, we get all the other incentives, attract the right companies to come. So that's a medium project. And small ones are buildings by buildings. And we have a joint venture with Arup in Hong Kong, where we turn buildings into smart buildings. In this case, typically we work with real estate developers who are owners and managers of these buildings. These ones are a little bit easier. We typically would give them a standard type of design and product, and then we use that to customize it. And these are much faster. And in fact, going forward, we think we can, as you say, downsize to the right one, which is they can just download our Neuron app to start running their own buildings almost instantaneously. So large, medium, and small, as you say, a city is made up of all of that. And I like your word right sizing. It is about, getting the right one for the right customers.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are really good examples to bring up here, actually. And I think what's really important is it's not only in cities, from a kind of public perspective, and what is owned by cities and local authorities and governments, but it's things that kind of look and operate a bit like cities, with lots of throughput, lots of people, lots of challenges that are similar to those being faced in cities, but just from a slightly different angle. And that's just as important in so many ways.
I want to jump in there, Luke, to say, so many people misunderstand when they hear about smart city. Oh, city as one blob. It's not. City is like a chessboard. It can be one particular, square on the chessboard. It can be a couple of squares, and it can be a big slug of many, many squares. Think of it as like Monopoly. You can have one building, a whole street, a whole district, or perhaps a whole town. And it's very, very different scales with very, very different needs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good point to make, definitely. I think the next thing I wanted to cover off is to really understand what your opinions are on the smart city landscape as it stands, and connect that into collaboration and partnerships. So I want to understand which areas in the kind of city landscape do you see the most potential for new partnerships to be struck when you consider the existing challenges within cities at the moment? And that might be with a view to innovation or sustainability, but I'd love to get your take on it. Benson, we'll start with you.
Wow, good. Michael and I talked a lot about this. Where do you start? Because these are massive projects. And about 3-4 years ago, we realized the biggest gating issue is money. Where do you find the money, and why do they want to spend the money? And so that's why you find that we are looking forever for projects that makes dollar and cents for the owners. So whatever we find is that whatever can save them the most money. And on that point, after money is actually, surprise, surprise, I mean, since you're in London, energy. The reason is that Michael can tell you, for most of the buildings, if you use Arup design and all that, you can cut something like a sixth, sometimes a third of the energy off, which is a lot more than new materials, a lot more than anything else. So the second thing is to look for energy savings. So where can you save money and make energy savings? So we find that the hotspots within like Hong Kong and other cities is actually shrunken down to buildings. Because just imagine today, we just went through 3 years of COVID. A lot of businesses are suffering. Rental are not going out. Money is tight. And certainly in this winter, energy is something that is hot on the topics of everybody. And where is it hitting? It's really hitting on the commercial buildings, where you have one owner for a whole building, lots of money for the energy that can be saved. And they are the most incentivized to actually take the lead to make it smart, because it actually saves money and it actually saves energy. So in all sense of the word, this is a big win for them. Right, yeah. Michael?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, if you look at carbon emissions in city, so 90% of carbon emission in city is related to transport, waste, and energy consumption. In fact, energy is the biggest contributor to carbon emission. So in a way, I would say it's easy thing to start, easy point to look into. However, you need to know how to measure the problem itself before you can manage any problem. So the thing which Benson and myself started, in particular this smart building platform called Neuron, is a way to allow us to get the data that help building operator to improve, and more importantly, test scenario on the data that they can collect from various IoT and building system. And really is to allow the data of the building and the systems to be able to talk to each other, so that by deploying the IoT device and computational capabilities with the help of cloud computing, the AI-enabled system, etc., we will be able to connect, very important, to the user and operator to have more direct communication, so that the user have this autonomy on controlling the outcome, and the operator will be able to somehow also predict, have this predictive function, so that they can have a better maintenance planning and also resource management. So in a way, when we call it a bit like a digital twin, that it become more than just a predictive maintenance sort of platform, but from a design perspective, it also provides very valuable lessons in the real-time operation. So in our future design, we can design the building much better. So we can in the future design smarter building, but also be able to convert some of the less smart building to be smarter with such a platform.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And the more we're able to bring that kind of systems approach into cities, then the more livable communities and cities are going to be in the long run. And really, that's what every city government is striving to do. I think that's probably a good note for us to end on. But I wanted to thank you both for your time and your insight here. It really has been great to speak with you and to hear more about the work that you're seeing develop in this space. And obviously there's more on that in our Shenzhen City profile, which was supported by Venturous Group. So for those of you watching, do go take a look. There's a link in the description below. But in the meantime, thanks again to both of you, and thanks for our audience for watching, and I'm sure we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.